Hey gang, in this brief series I'll be going through a few Spydercos that aren't mine but have been lent to me to have a look at. Some of these are still in production, some of them are hard to find, and some of them are now sort of obsolete or out of production. This one here, this is still available. I'm not sure if it's still being produced. They do make a version of this which is still being produced, but this one here, the Kiwi with the steel and carbon fibre scales, is now fairly tricky to find. So this knife here is a very, very small little everyday carry knife. It is clipless, I repeat, it is clipless, and it is a backlock coming with this little leather sheath. So very, very traditional slip pocket type knife. Now this knife reminds me a fair bit of, in terms of my knife experience, the Cold Steel Mini Tough Light, in that it is one of those knives, or perhaps even the CRKT Minimalist, but a folding version. One of those knives that just fits between your two main fingers. You actually get a really, really good grip on this one. And very small sort of razor style scalpel blade, worn cliff or sheep's foot, debatable on this one. It is a fair long point there. Sabre ground, actually hollow ground, and from reasonably thick stock. So like quite an interesting, unusual little knife. I think it actually looks fairly cool. I didn't think I would like it from the pictures. I wasn't sure how the CF would come up. So that's carbon fibre inlaid into the stainless steel. And although the FRN version, which is the material that say the Delicas are made of, the FRN version is going to be much, much lighter. I think for a knife this small, the weight probably isn't going to bother you too much anyway, because it is still not a heavy knife. Let's get my scales out and have a look-see about the weight. So we have got 51 grams, which compared to something like a Spyderco Delica at 66 grams, I guess you're getting a bit more capability and size with the Delica, but if this is your bag and you're after something a bit more gentlemanly, or just a true pocket knife, or something that is really, really cool and comfortable to hold, this isn't coming out of your hand, folks, when you're using and swinging this one around, that's for sure. Then the weight's probably not going to trouble you too much. Let's look at the edges there. So you've got I reckon we can say pretty happily, given that those each of those boxes is 1 centimetre, you've got a 4.5 centimetre blade, which in inches is, it's going to be about 2 inches, I think. Yep, it's going to be about 2 inches. And of course there's a massive forward finger choil there for gripping onto. You can of course hold back like this, but then you've got that vast dead spot. You're going to be holding the knife like this. What really struck me, and this is a Japanese made Spyderco from the same factory that makes the Delicas and whatnot in Seiki City, this is such a smooth backlock. It is really something. It's almost like the tang is completely rounded and the lock is completely rounded, but then it snaps up with such authority as well. Very, very smooth and very nice to use. And even disengaging the lock, there's none of that sort of, it's an even press. So just a very, very well done backlock on this one. The fit and finish, you don't usually expect too much from Spyderco's Japanese factory. They tend to make the more utilitarian type of Spyderco knives, like the Delicas and the Enduras, which aren't, horrible, but they're never quite, they're much more user-focused knives that don't really need to be, really nice and smooth. And, a Delica will come with a fair bit of sort of like, snappiness, and there's a definite bit of walk and talk to a Delica as well. Whereas this one, lovely and smooth. So a real ideal little gentleman's folder, something on line with, say, something even like, it's like a Spyderco take on sort of a knife like that. So they've obviously gone, maximum ergos, as Spyderco always does. But yeah, something that you would just slip into your pocket, and obviously not as big. Size out of mind, fellas. I think it's definitely in this playing field rather than in this one, or in even this one, or even in this one. So very, very cool little knife. I'll just put some size comparisons up against the knife blade. So this will be a paramilitary 2. Okay, so much, much bigger knife. Again, this will be a Swiss Army knife. You see, sort of, in that rough ballpark, shorter blade, but much more ergonomic, and much better blade still in the VG10. So it's got a good sized, pretty generous spider hole really for such a small knife. I don't have any problems deploying the knife. It actually works quite well. This is definitely going to be a matter of taste, this one here. So probably not for you if this, if you don't like the look of it, you're not going to really like owning it or having it in hand. I didn't mind the look of it and really do once you get it in hand. It's quite nice indeed. So the Spyderco Kiwi. This is the steel and carbon fibre variant in VG10. And I hope you enjoyed this. I'll try and keep these Spyderco knife views brief, and as informative as I can, and I'll try and release them all at once so it's not just drip feeding Spyderco for the people who aren't interested in Spyderco, which I do empathise with. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one.